Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Miranda, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Estrella podcast. Before I get started in today's episode and introduce today's wonderful guest, if you would like to learn more about what Estrella is doing outside of this podcast, please visit estrella.chat. You'll be able to sign up for their free newsletter, get all the information that you need, ask any questions that you may have, and watch as Estrella develops its unique platform built for anybody in the spiritual world, made by people in the spiritual world. So give that a check. And again, it's estrella.chat. Now, for today's episode, I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing psychic medium Sally Rice. Hi, Sally. How are you today?
Howdy. How are you, Danny? It's so nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. I have to say this really quick because there's been such great energy around you. When I saw your name in my email as my next guest, I was ecstatic because one of my favorite teachers, who was also a beautiful mentor for me growing up, was my fifth grade teacher, and her name is Sally Rice.
Awesome. Yay, teachers. Yay.
Yes.
Formative years when we're just really expressing our whole, blossoming. So important.
Yes. So that name is such a special name for me. So I'm super thrilled to be interviewing you today. And I'm excited because as I was looking at your website and reading your story, I found out so much about you that is so interesting. And I guess I would like to start off by asking, how did you get on this path to being where you are today with your spiritual gifts?
Oh, well, the quick and easy core answer. I don't know why I said that. It's like, desktop quick answer is to live fearlessly, to go with the flow, to not make plans, to live in the moment, in the day. Because I was born a psychic medium, and I came, and I promise on the life of my children and all of the lives I've lived, I promise that I came into this incarnation remembering my past lives, being connected to who I was before. I remember being 6 months old, sitting in diapers on the floor, watching my mother descend the staircase and realizing, oh my God, she's fallen asleep. She doesn't remember our contract that we made. And I came into this incarnation connected to the eternal realm. So when you know that and you don't know anything else, and that is what it is, all your fears go away. Why, like, what are you afraid of when you know you're eternally living, like you have no end? You know that you're protected by your angels and God all the time. You know that you walk with God. What's the big deal? So with that as a foundation, okay, and also, by the way, I came from a family of atheists, so it's not without challenges. But I came and go, oh, okay. So I literally went through life like knowing and trusting the story unfolding, and knowing that my responsibility was to show up with my greatest and highest version of me, and also that my job wasn't to create my life and invent it, but to respond to the story unfolding and make the right higher choice responses to whatever would fall in front of me. So that way, you're always on the yellow brick road.
That is amazing. What an amazing way to start this episode. I have to ask, Sally, you had just mentioned that you grew up in a family of atheists. So my question is, knowing that when you were a baby and you were watching your mom descend from the staircase, and you said to yourself,
sleepwalking that lady.
you said to yourself, she doesn't know about her contract here.
Right.
Did she at any point in time have that awakening? And if she did she have it by watching you as that living example? Because you came into this already knowing your purpose.
Yes. And if you go to my website, sallyricepsychic.com, under the blog topics, I wrote an article called the soul contract, and it details the story of that. Because yes, my mother finally woke up on her birthday at 99 years old, as she
Wow.
crossed over and died on her birthday at her birth time, forever an atheist. But for 5 days prior to her crossing, we had a journey together where I was her shamanic leader to help carry her as an atheist, never trusting, never believing in spirit world. I'm like, okay. And we had the most wonderful 5 days together. And before she crossed, she was in a coma. And before she crossed over, I'm like, Mom, do you see your sister Margaret there? Do you know that you're not dying? You know that you're going some, because she would tell me there's nothing after this. There's nothing after this. You just fade into nothingness. You go into a hole. There's no such thing as God. That's hogwash. And she used to roll her eyes. I'll never forget it. She'd roll her eyes and she'd say, oh, those people of faith, as if they were the most idiotic, stupid people that walk the face of the earth. Me, having known God and seeing angels and good spirits my entire life, I'm like, yeah, no. So we butt heads for sure. Okay.
Mhm.
And then on her crossing, when she was in like day 4 of the coma, but connecting because we did the rituals together, because I'm also shamanic. Anyway, shamanism is another chapter. But anyway, so I'm like, Mom, you see Margaret, her sister, you see Margaret? And she's in coma, and she squeezes my hand. She
Wow.
squeezed my hand. So we had a whole dialogue while she was in coma about her crossing over. So did she ever wake up from the dream? Yes, she did, but not until the day she was meant to go back and wake up from the dream. So it took 99 years.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because I've come to find some people, they do cross over before they pass on.
Oh, yeah.
Some people don't, and they have to come back again.
Wait. Are you talking about an NDE? Like if somebody like dies before their time, quote unquote dies, because that doesn't happen. There's no such thing. But you mean quote unquote, they cross over, leave this incarnation, and then come back to this incarnation? Or are you talking about karma?
I'm talking about karma. Yes.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
much about
Okay, I don't
NDE.
believe that's not in my belief system.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I mean we have something that there are things that the soul comes back and wants to do again if they don't
Okay.
finish their job. That's not karma.
I was
Karma.
just going to ask you,
Oh,
what would you
okay.
consider? What would you consider that then, if that's
Okay,
okay?
okay. Because this is really great. Because here we are in the age of Aquarius, right? The age of awakening, the new chapter, a Mayan calendar, and blah blah blah. We are in the age of oh, here we go, new Renaissance, where spirituality and science collide. Yay! Okay, so big problem with semantics. One person's word they use for this is not the definition that another person. There is so much chaos around words. It's
Yes.
best if we identify that fact at the outset of any conversation about spirituality, because there's even a debate about what consciousness means, right?
Exactly.
So we
Yeah.
can't even define that. Okay, so careful with our terminology. I'm really aware and careful about the words I use, okay,
Mhm.
because people misunderstand, okay. But for me, okay, in the traditional Buddhist sense, okay, let's put that aside. Let's talk about the colloquial, whatever. Oh, karma. If you do something bad, you're going to get. That's in alignment with God as an anthropomorphic being that has anger management problems. That if you do something bad, you're going to hell. You'll be punished. Because the idea of karma is if you sin, you're going to have to pay for it, like as a punishment. And that's not how the spirit world works, in my experience. I've also
Okay.
learned that people, like looking at the old proverb, blindfolded people looking at an elephant. If you're touching the tail or the tusk or the whatever, you're going to have a different definition. So we have to be careful. But in terms of like what karma is, I do not believe or know that there's punishment. What there is you sign up for something in your life. You have a soul contract, and you come here to do A, B, C, and D, and you're going to have your first Saturn return to make sure you stay on track. Okay. And your
Yes.
second Saturn return will also be a reminder, stay on track. But if you do not complete your soul contract, which technically is kind of impossible if you have like hours of conversation that we could debate it. But in a nutshell, the soul knows when it's supposed to leave, and we're contracted also to come in and exit at a special time. Now, sometimes a soul says, "Oh, that was so much fun, I want to do it again," or it says, "You know what? I didn't check all the boxes. I need to go back and do that again." Or I dropped the ball on that one. I really still want to go back and finish it. It's the decision of the soul to go back and redo it. It's not a punishment from God, or it's not, "You fucked up, dude." Excuse my language. It's not like that. It's like, you're writing your story.
Right.
You're an eternal being connected to God. There's no evil or darkness in there.
Yes.
You're here having Earth School to have an adventure. Your soul wants to grow and experience the Earth realm, which is the area of feeling, and the physical realm, which has wars and chaos and disease, all for the experience of the soul to transcend.
Right. Right.
That.
Now, if I may ask Sally, if I may ask Sally, do you believe in free will?
Absolutely. And there's also a big debate in free will. And in fact, because I know you know my daughter Sarah Rice on the Brain Candy podcast.
I love Sarah.
In the very last episode, they had this whole discussion, and I was like, I don't agree about consciousness and free will. And apparently, there's some guy who came out with a book. There's no such thing as free will. Shenanigans. Okay, so if we're going to really look at free will is your ability to freely respond in whatever way you want. You can be a Karen, or you can be like Jesus. You can respond to whatever crosses your path. That's your free will. Okay. And you have choice.
I never thought of it like that.
When things come in front of you, you have a choice. Okay, someone cut me off on the freeway. I have the free will to respond whatever way I want. I have children. I have the free will. Well, hopefully you have the free will to make a choice. But sometimes, winky. Okay. Should you have a baby? Okay.
Yes.
You have the free will, but to how to treat that child. So that's your free will. But are you going to have that baby? Are you going to marry that person? Are you going to be born, whomever you are, female, to these parents? No, that's your soul contract. So your soul contract has events, things, big markers that, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and that. It's like a scenario. Your story is a scenario, and your free will is like the actor on the stage that can improvise in between point A or point B, getting along the path, you see.
Yes.
That's free will. But if you signed up in your soul contract to say, hypothetically, I'm going to be born in Los Angeles, and by the end of my incarnation, I'm going to New York. I don't care whether you walk, fly, take a bus, ride, hitchhike, do your thing. That's your free will. You're going to New York. What
a great way to distinct between the two. That makes a lot of sense. I never even looked at it like that.
It's logical. There's no woo-woo here. We do not. There's only science and spirituality colliding in this beautiful evolution of quantum physics, where these two worlds manifest and create a great opportunity for us to all become one.
I love that. Yeah. If I may ask, Sally, what distinguishes you? Like, what makes you different and separates you from other psychic mediums? How would you say that you stand out?
Great question. Because I was watching one of your other interviews with another psychic medium, and Spirit was, of course, always talking, because the conversation never ends. Like, how can you be lonely when there's always spirits all around? They're everywhere. Okay, and it was like, yeah, exactly. As we were all, conversing on this very question, and that is, the uniqueness is as you are unique. We are all have our thumbprint. Every psychic, every person is as unique. There's only one of you. There's only one of everyone.
Mhm.
The thing is that some of us grow in different kind of gardens. Some of
Mhm.
us need forests. Some of us need the desert. We are all different in our makeup, in our structure, but all very, very unique. So what distinguishes me? The same thing that distinguishes you. Okay.
Mhm.
I would have to say, however, that since I was born a psychic medium with memories of other past lives and also memories of future lives, I know this to be true for me. Ask my children. It's documented. Okay.
Mhm.
There's plenty of research that coming and having chosen the foundation, educational foundation, nature and nurture, right? Because we are both things. We
Yes.
are the eternal soul that is our nature, but we are nurtured in the environment that we are raised in, and we
Mhm.
will become that as well. And those two ideally work together or they collide,
Mhm.
depending on the soul contract you designed and your free will responding to those challenges. I chose to come into a family that was very abusive and very anti-religious, very racist, everything that I am not.
Mm.
Everything that I am not. And my journey was to go, oh, when I see and I am presented with an environment of what I am not, it's really easy to know who you are.
Right.
So when the greater the conflict, the greater the expression of, ooh, I know me a lot better now seeing you.
Mm.
Okay. But it also taught me the independence and tolerance of knowing they're just not going to get it. And that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. That's just fine. I don't care. Doesn't affect my life.
Right. Right. I was
So
looking on your website and I saw that you have studied all around the world, and I'd like to know if you could talk a little bit more about that.
yes, I love that subject because I feel like a cat with nine lives. So I always thought my first degree in college was in theater. Surprise, surprise. Musical theater that I got at a very young age. But I got sidetracked and I decided I was going to go do a year abroad in Italy to study art history. Well, went to Italy. I was barely 19 years old and I fell in love with my professor and ended up staying there 9 years and became an international tour guide. So I traveled all around Europe and Africa and the Middle East, leading groups all over educational tours, leading groups through museums. Loved that life. Then on my Saturn return, I was sent like a dog with its tail between its legs, come back to the United States because after being engaged to my Italian romantic lover, he said, I do not want to get married, no children for me. So I left and then came back to the United States and spent 35 years as a costume designer in the motion picture industry, working, doing
Oh, how
music
neat.
videos and working in Hollywood and doing that, got married, had three wonderful children. And then I jumped over and ended up in Costa Rica where I live now. So collectively, I've spent like, I forget how many years, 20, like a lot of years living outside the United States and in
Wow.
over 53 countries. And so, but back to the original statement. If you live fearlessly, like how do you get to, if you don't have any fear, have fun.
Right.
Like, what's the
Mhm.
holdup? What do you want to do? Then do it.
I
There. Go
love that. You know, it's interesting. I'm actually at that point in my life now where I'm basically like, you know what? I want to do everything that I want to get into things I've never done and I've always wanted to do. So I've actually signed up for a few lessons and certain activities that I've never done. A lot of people don't know this. Like I don't know how to swim. As a matter of fact, I almost drowned in the Pacific Ocean when I was in eighth grade, and so it made me
Oh, well,
afraid.
that'll do it.
It
That
made me
will
afraid of
surely do it.
water. Yeah.
Well,
So I told myself not anymore. So starting next week, I get swim lessons. So
awesome.
I'm nervous, but I'm
You're going to
excited
love
at the
it.
same time.
You're going to
Yeah.
love it.
So
You're going to
I'm
love
doing
it.
that. I'm starting to travel outside of the country. I've always wanted to travel around the world, and I'm thinking about nomading it. And so, yeah, listening to what you're
Awesome.
doing,
Awesome.
what you've been talking about with your past and your life, I want to do the same thing.
Well,
So
go for it.
yes, I
Then you
love that.
will. Then you will.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yes.
It's fun. Come to Costa Rica.
I actually have always wanted to come to Costa Rica.
Gentle waters. It's just like the ocean is just like a bathtub. And that's
Oh,
where everybody comes to learn to surf because the waves are super gentle.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you lived in Costa Rica?
I came here for 2 weeks as on a holiday, thanks to my daughter, Sarah Rice, because she came and filmed the challenge down here. And
Love that show.
she said, Mom, come to Costa Rica, check it out. And I'm like, I don't want to. So I go, okay, I'll go for 10 days. I like Paris and Rome. I like my Prada shoes. You know. So I came here, and that was in August of 2012.
Oh, wow.
Never left.
Look at you.
I seriously never left. I gave up my career. I sold all my belongings. I said, see you later. Because God's spirit, that's what I'm telling you. Trust the story unfolding. You are not in charge. I got off this bus in this little village. I'm not going to say the name of it because I love this village. But at the time in 2012, it was just before the Mayan calendar, right? So and I'm like walking down the street. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got to get back to LA. I got to get back to LA. This is a whole town. That seems like a town of inbreds. This is me talking to me. I'm like, because it was scary. There was some spooky stuff going on. And then my spirit guide whispers in my ear. He says, no, you're not leaving. You're here to do the work. And I'm not kidding. Like verbatim, that's what he said. And events happened, miraculous events happened and unfolded that made it possible for the new life to happen. And it's been 13 or whatever, how many years since then.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's how it goes. So there's nothing different than my story or your story or anybody else's. We have our we have our contracts that are unfolding. So if we go with it and be spontaneous, then we have the best story and it's fun.
Yes, and that's what
Living
it's
your best
about.
life, I think.
That's what it's about. It's about living your best life. It's about having fun, creating new experiences. I love that. If I may ask, are most of your clients in Costa Rica, or do you work with people from all around the world?
Oh no, in fact, no, the majority they're all over the world. Like Dubai, Singapore, Germany, Canada, Argentina, United States, no, all over.
That is
It doesn't
amazing.
matter. It doesn't matter. And the system perfectly organizes it. So I don't have to do time changes.
Oh.
It automatically does it for me.
Yes, yes.
Chaos.
So, Sally, what is like your favorite part about what you do? What do you absolutely love? What fires you up to just continue on with your journey and your spiritual gifts?
That's a really easy question to answer. And if you can hear, that's my dog just having her heyday in her water bowl. If you can hear him. But the greatest thing that gives me the greatest pleasure is having people become aware of their connection to God and seeing the God in themselves, falling in love with themselves, teaching them to connect to their spirit team, knowing how to work from the heart and not from the head, conquering their conquering their ego and transcending to an awareness that they are the masters of their destiny and being able to then manifest the wonderful things in their life.
Yes. Now,
that's my big, that's what gives me the greatest joy.
Now, if I may ask, how do you allow a client to have access to that if they may not know how? Let's say they don't know how to open up their consciousness to God or how to channel, or they don't know how to relax, for instance. How would you help a client do that?
Baby steps. I've had one client who initially came to me in 2009, engineer, very linear thinking, and still my client to this day, and has gone from engineering to life coaching and completely manifesting dreams like you can't imagine. So
Wow.
watch that. It doesn't happen overnight, but it
Yeah.
can also happen in one little reading by just opening up the door to be able to give the seed to think differently. But again, you're talking to Sally right now.
Yes.
Okay, when I'm in session, and this is another thing where semantics, I heard, I would very comfortably say, that when I go into session, and I do it on a timer, okay, so I push the button, then okay, now I'm in session. So Sally steps aside, and I become kind of like a radio, my antenna, and I tune in, and I use the word channel this spirit guide, but I heard one of the psychics say, well, you know, when you channel, you're possessed by an evil force. I'm like, I guess that's semantics again, because no woo-woo and no negative evil energy. Let me also preface this. I have seen spirits my entire life. I don't know what it is not to see spirits. I've seen them of all kinds. It's like walking into the jungle and all the different animals and species that are there, okay? Just as many different kinds of spirits. Seen them, been there all my life. Don't know what it is not to see them. But not once have I ever seen what people call it's dark energy. Oh, it's an evil energy. Like that to me just makes me laugh.
Right.
Because the spirit world is just pure love.
I
And
was just going to say, do you
like,
think,
I'm like, I don't know what movie you're watching, but
yes,
it's not in my realm of awareness at all.
yes.
Okay.
Do you think, if I may
So,
ask, not to
thanks.
cut you off,
No,
I
please do.
apologize. The comment that you just made, it sparked a question. Do you think that a lot of times people create these thoughts and visions of evil entities and
Of
of
course.
darkness? Because I agree, the spirit world is love and light. I do not look at the spirit world as dark or anything like that. So
No,
is it
of
fair to
course.
say that they could be creating that fear, false expectations appearing
100%.
real?
100%. Listen, I'm gonna change it from 100%. I'm gonna say infinity percent. Okay, infinity percent.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Let me give you a really good scientifically proved example because it's real. Okay, and this is what I love about science. Woo! Education, science, whoop-de-doo, yay! No woo-woo, okay? Can't touch that. All right, so I was leading a retreat in Mount Shasta when we had the solar eclipse, whenever that was, when Trump didn't wear his glasses, okay? And so during that solar eclipse with a group, we were on a retreat, and we had like 10 people, and I was on the patio preparing one of the lessons, and everyone was resting or whatever, and I was sitting on the patio of this retreat house right under Mount Shasta, and I there was like, oh my God, a huge argument happening there. I heard a woman sitting on the patio, like, oh no, dark energy. Heard this woman really mad, yelling at this other man. They were fighting over something, rah, 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 rah. All this conversation about building and her property and all this weird stuff. I heard the conversation. I don't need to give all the details, but anyway, I'm like, damn. And then it was gone. Okay. So came in, came out. As psychic energy happens. Here 1 minute, gone the other, okay? Tuned in. All right. The next day, the owner of the property comes over, and she's out there, who we renting the property from for this retreat. And on the patio, she's talking to the other members. I'm like, wait a second. I know that voice. She was the woman in the argument. What I was doing is tuning into it, and I'm like, did you have an argument here with a man on this about blah, 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 blah? And she said, oh, yes, I was furious. That was the builder, and he didn't build the deck properly, and blah, blah. Anyway, she explained it. I'm like, okay. So there's a perfect example. There's
Yes.
an event that happened in the physical realm that got trapped, because energy can get trapped like an echo. Hello, 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 hello. The echo gets trapped, right? It's the original voice. Hello, the echo is not the original voice, but the echo is it's just like that. So the information gets trapped in this little bubble, and then if you're sensitive, you can tune into that station, but that doesn't mean that it's the devil or that
Right.
it's some evil thing. It's
Right.
like everybody relax.
Right. I agree. I think we,
Thousand other examples of things I've tapped into that are not, and people misinterpret. They go, "Oh, I'm being haunted." No,
yes.
you're not. That was just, remember
Yes.
that argument that it's like,
It's just
chill.
like going back to what you said about how there's so many interpretations
Yeah.
of good versus evil, of
Yes.
terminology,
Yes.
it's gotten so watered down
Yes.
nowadays that for
Yes.
somebody who may not even know where to start with their spiritual journey, what do they believe? Right? Because there's so much information out there that is watered down, false, not true, elaborated over to an extent that doesn't need to be elaborated on. So if that is the case, right? If we know that the spiritual realm has become lukewarm, essentially, what advice would you give somebody, Sally, who
Well,
isn't spiritual, who is open to figuring out their spiritual journey? What advice would you give for them to start the process? How do they go about starting?
okay. Number one is it's literally a calling. Some people it's also quite flavor of the week to say I'm spiritual now. So it's kind of, it's like also in the 60s when I grew up, there were people who said they were hippies and we knew they really weren't. So that in itself has watered down the whole movement.
Right.
But in terms of someone who's really sincere and really on the journey and wants to be awakened and know, because there is chaos everywhere, too many opinions, too much stuff, too much information. It's it's too much. It's like
Yes.
it'll shut you down, actually.
Yes.
So the first thing to do, it's really easy. Stop looking out there.
Mm. Yes.
Turn right in here.
That's right.
This is where all the answers are. Nobody out there knows your soul contract. Nobody out there knows who you really are. Nobody. Only you and you. And guess what? Here's the easiest way. Oh, I get to say my favorite thing. Okay. So here's the basic rule of how to experience heaven on earth and how to live your life to the fullest and have all of your dreams manifest effortlessly, and how to trust that you're on the right path. It's really easy. Really easy. For all those Catholics out there who know Father, Son, Holy Ghost concept, okay, let's just think about that. The trilogy, okay? Only in this case, the Father, art in heaven, God, is our heart space, because our heart is our higher self connected to God. We always trust our heart. Our heart will never lie to us. Ask your heart, not your head. Your head is ego edging God out. Thank you, Wayne Dyer. Okay.
I love Wayne Dyer.
Love him too. Edging God out. Okay, so ego. Okay, this is lower self. Father, higher self, God. Son, earth walker, having the human experience, not connected to spirit, the brain. The brain that helps us find our keys, helps us put together that piece of IKEA furniture, helps us do, ideally, what the heart wants. So the head, God, heart, higher self, has as its servant the brain that will form thoughts and ideas that are in alignment with the feelings of the heart that know God, connected to spirit, baseline here, foundation here, source of all knowing, that will tell my brain how to make thoughts. I only rent mental real estate to thoughts that are in alignment with the desires of my heart, that always have my higher self in and my highest good in its foundation. So therefore my thoughts will be in alignment with what my heart wants. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, invisible, words. The words that come out of my mouth will be in alignment with my thoughts that are following as a servant to my higher self, the God knowing self that is creating my experience on earth. So therefore, when that is in alignment, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, my feelings that then my brain follows in alignment with my feelings, and the words express my feelings accurately in alignment. When all of those things match, we have the golden ratio, we have the golden sacred geometry, we have the golden triangle, the flower of life that is our foundation, knowing we are connected to the web of the eternal God self. And in that alignment, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, my heart, then my head, my word, my thoughts, and my words all matching, I will manifest everything I came here to do in my beautiful soul contract, and I will lead the greatest life possible. End of story. I may
felt
experience
every ounce of
sadness,
that.
but I will transcend suffering.
I felt every ounce of that energy you put out.
Awesome.
That was amazing.
Woo-hoo!
And it's so true. I've personally, Sally, have seen it with myself. Lining all of that, I have seen things play out. And when people tell me like, oh, manifestation isn't real, it's absolutely not true. Manifestation is real. And I've seen it with my own life. And I believe in it wholeheartedly.
Okay, so here's what you want to do, Danny. You want to get an empty jar, a glass jar, and then you get those little Post-it notes.
Mm-hmm.
And each time you have one of those manifestation miracles happen, you write just the date and a key word or a key phrase that will remind you of the event. Drop it into that jar. At the end of the year, you watch that jar be full of all the notes. You can make them different colored, like something that happens to your health, or something like I have different ones. Like there's crazy stuff that happens. I color code them for like what kind, like spiritual visitation or whatever. And you watch that jar grow. And then the more you watch the jar, it tells the universe, ooh, she likes that. Because whatever we look at, whatever we focus on, the universe gives us more of that.
Yes.
It doesn't know good or bad. If you keep focusing, oh, I feel so sick, I hope I don't have cancer. She likes cancer.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Oh, I like that. I'm going to do that.
It's fun because it's really cool. And then you have your years. Sarah does it, and then she puts the year on the top, and it's you know, it can be, and then you have a big, like a canning jar. It's only their years of life memories of all the miracles that have happened. Just an idea.
I love that. I love that idea. Tell me about, without saying any names or giving away any information for privacy issues or for privacy reasons, excuse me. Tell me about one of your most cherished moments with a client.
Oh boy, there's so many. Every reading is a cherished. I'm not kidding. I've never had a reading that's not mind-blowing for me. And I'm in awe always of spirit. It's amazing. But the first one that came to mind, this was so amazing. I had this woman on the other end, because this was a phone reading. So I didn't see her or anything, but we connected. And then instantly I felt God. Let's just say that. I don't have any other way to describe it. My soul went in, or was able to connect to the spirit of the fetus in her body. She had just found out she's pregnant. So this baby was still in spirit, but also in utero. And that feeling of, okay, when NDEers talk about, you've heard them, right?
Yes.
They say, oh my God, this love, I was enveloped by this love. It's palpable. It's like swimming in, it has a density to it. It's like you're actually in water, because it's not light like air. And it covers you. It's almost suffocating. It's so beautiful. It's indescribable. So
Yes.
I was able to feel that of her baby, and I just bathed in that energy. And then that was with my client, okay? But I also had that very same experience when I had, because it was time and there was no other option, to put down my dog.
Mm.
And I had my dog in my arms, and I was holding the dog, and that very same thing happened, only it was concentrated in a small ball, and it started in my feet, and it slowly came up. The same feeling of which, if you can imagine being able to feel love in your feet, because you could feel, because there's heat to it. And energy. It's not it's somewhere from somewhere else, and it just went all the way up, and then came right out.
Wow.
Was friggin' ecstatic. So that was when you say what are the most memorable, those actually both produced physical, like really strong physical things. But there's nothing better than connecting people with their loved ones and describing, what they're wearing, or, whatever. And having people feel the relief of knowing they don't have to be afraid of crossing over, that they didn't lose anybody. You're never lose anyone. They're just in the next room over there. You're going to see them tomorrow. Everybody chill out, because this lifetime, microsecond in the life of your soul. So
Yes. Yes. Sally, it has been an absolute pleasure interviewing you today. You are funny, you're charismatic, your stories are intriguing. I really enjoyed talking to you today. If I may ask you, how can people find you in case they would like to get readings from you?
Okay, I do via, of course, in person if you're in the Tamarindo area of Costa Rica. Otherwise, via Skype or WhatsApp or telephone, just regular telephone, or not Zoom. The only thing I don't do is Zoom, but any other thing. FaceTime. And that is at website sallyricepsychic.com.
Okay.
And also agapecostarica.com.
Awesome.
Because agape means unconditional love in Greek. And it's also in honor of the great, if you're looking for a spiritual home, people, and you don't have one, there's only one in my book, and that is the Agape Spiritual Center in Los Angeles, under the leadership of Reverend Michael Beckwith, my hero. So that's a great place to go if you want to check in and get spiritual enlightenment from the Rev. Had to plug him.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, there you have it. Sally Rice here, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to interview you, to connect with you, to talk with you. And for those of you out there that are watching this episode today, again, go to her website if you'd like to get any readings from her. And also, if you're interested in learning more about Estrella, then go to estrella.chat to get more information. I'm Danielle Miranda. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Estrella podcast. And Sally, thank you so much for being a wonderful guest today.
Thank you, Danny, and good luck for all your endeavors. You're going to do great. I just know it for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
Bye.